Hi, I'm Joseph Hoffman, and in this series of 3 lessons, we're going to learn how to play The Entertainer by Scott Joplin. The Entertainer is a famous piano piece from a genre known as ragtime music, which was popular in America during the early 1900s. Scott Joplin was the most famous composer of ragtime music, which earned him the nickname the King of Ragtime. Ragtime music is known for its lively syncopations in the melody and stride bass in the left hand. Stride bass is a kind of oompa pattern. Ragtime music, like The Entertainer, had a big influence on American music, including helping to pave the way for the development of jazz. Let's have a listen to The Entertainer. If you haven't already, don't forget to download and print out your own copy of The Entertainer from the Hoffman Academy website. That will make learning and studying this piece so much easier. To kick things off, I'd like you to pause the video and try to answer our usual questions about the score. Number 1, what is the tempo? Number 2, what key is this piece in? Number 3, what is the time signature? And 4, what else do you notice about the piece? Pause to answer those questions on your own, then press play and we'll look at it together. All right, let's answer these questions together. Number 1, what is the tempo? You're always going to look right here at our tempo indication. Lively tells us we'll be at some kind of allegro or allegretto tempo. Number 2, what key is the piece in? Our first clue will be to look for a key signature, and you'll see there are no sharps or flats in our key signature. No sharps and flats tells us we'll either be in the key of C major, or we could be in the key of A minor. So now we need to look at the first or the last note. We start on a D, and then end on a G in that first measure. So that's not helping us out a lot. So even a better place to look than the first note is actually the last note of a piece. Will almost always be our best clue for what key we're in. So looking at the very last measure, we see we end on this C with a first inversion C major chord. That's our best clue of all, that we are in the key of C major. Question 3, what is the time signature? We can see that we are in 2-2 time, and remember that 2-2 is the same as cut time, and that essentially means there'll be 2 half-note beats per measure. However, that said, remember that when you're in 2-2, you can pretend like you're in 4-4 while learning, and then eventually you'll want to be going fast enough that you'll only feel 2 beats per measure here and here, 1 and 2, and that will create a faster, lively tempo than if you count all 4 beats. But to learn it, go ahead and pretend like you're in 4/4 because you'll still have 4 quarter notes per measure. Eventually, those quarter notes will just feel faster, so fast that the half note will feel like the beat. And finally, what else did you notice about this piece? Anything you noticed is fine. You might have noticed a few accidentals along the way, which means sharps or flats placed in the music, lots of dynamics, repeat signs. One thing I notice when I look at this piece are the syncopations. Remember, syncopation is a key part of ragtime music, which means we have lots of things happening on the ands of the beats. Like right here, you see this eighth note, quarter note, eighth note, quarter note. And that creates a kind of syncopation. Let's look at it. We have one and. Notice how much is happening on the ands. We have something on the and here, here, and here. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Try to clap that rhythm with me while we count the beat. Clap with me. Ready, go. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Now, these rhythms are so important to get correct that I'd like you to pause the video and write in the counts, pretending you're in 4/4. So notice, eventually we'll feel like this is beat 2. But we're going to ignore that for now. Pretend we're in 4/4 while we're learning it. So we're going to think 4 beats per measure, 1 and 2 and. This is a tie, so we won't play this note. We'll just hold it, 2 and 3 and 4 and. Pause the video and write in the counts all the way through measure 8. Then press play and we'll check it out together. All right, here are the counts for the first 8 measures. Let's clap or tap the rhythm that you see here. And let's focus on the right hand rhythm. Often the hands are playing the same rhythm, but starting down here in measure 5, the left hand is playing mostly quarter notes, while the right hand has the trickier rhythms. So let's be watching the treble clef staff for our rhythms. Count the beat out loud with me while we clap or tap. I'll count 4 beats to get ready, and then we'll start. Here we go. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 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 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Now let me stop you there. So important. So many students rush through this part because it's a little bit slower. We're used to all these eighth notes, and then we get here and we just charge through. But no, these quarter notes and the rest need the right amount of time. 1 and 2 and 3 and. So counting will really help you be sure not to rush those. Let's start right here on the 4 and the pickup to measure 5. Ready, go. 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 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 4 and. And I like to open my hands on those rests to remind me of the silence there. Now, I recommend you write in the counts through the entire piece. It will really help you learn these rhythms correctly. Pause if you'd like some time to do that. Otherwise, the one last thing I want to look at before we start playing is to notice the first and second endings. Just a quick review of how to read those. You're going to go through the music up into, you go inside door number 1 the first time. Repeat sign teleports you back to this repeat sign, then we do it again. This time you're not allowed to go in door number 1. You have to skip straight to door number 2, and that's called the second ending, and then we continue on forward from there. Now, pause the video, and on your own, I'd like you to try to learn the right-hand part for measures 1 through 8 on your own, then press play, and we'll check it out together. I will now demonstrate the right-hand part, measures 1 through 8, at a slow practice tempo. You're welcome to try playing along or just listen. I'll count 4 beats to get started. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and then that's the pickup to the next part. All right, if that matched what you played, great job. Please be very careful to follow the fingerings, the notes, the rhythms. That's why I was counting out loud, to make sure I don't rush any of the notes I'm not supposed to rush, that I get each note with the precise timing that you'll need to make these. If you can play it slowly correctly, then you'll be able to play it fast correctly. But if you can't play it slowly correctly, there's no way you're going to be able to play it fast correctly. So take the time to learn it correctly from the start, and it will save you so much time later on. Now, I'd like you to pause the video again and learn the left hand part. A few things to watch out for. Notice, where does the left hand start? It's not in bass clef like usual. Notice that the left hand starts in treble clef. So, can you point on your piano to the first note the left hand plays? If you're pointing here on your piano, you're correct. Here's middle C. Notice this is way up on treble D. Both hands start pretty high on the piano. And if you look carefully, you'll see that the left hand is mirroring or copying one octave below what the right hand is doing. But check every note and see if that pattern stays the same or where it changes, if at all. Also notice the fingerings here. You've got to scooch finger 3 down for those last 2 notes to work. Watch fingerings, watch notes, and pause to learn the left-hand part, measures 1 through 8, then press play and we'll check it out together. All right, I will demonstrate the left-hand part. You're welcome to try playing along, or you can just listen. I'll count in 4 beats. Here's left hand, measures 1 through 8. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 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 1 and 2 and 3 and. Now pause for a second. How did I know that note? That's so many ledger lines down. Remember, use ground G, which is the bottom line of bass staff. That's ground G, and then every ledger line is just a skip. And I saw it was 1 step below that 3rd skip ledger line down, so it has to be a low G. Going on 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 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 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. If that matched what you played, great job. If you need to fix anything, feel free to pause and work those things out. And on your own, learn from the pickup to measure 9 all the way through the first ending here in measure 20. Pause to learn the right-hand part on your own, then press play, and we'll check it out together. All right, here's the right-hand part, starting from the pickup to measure 9. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 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 1 and 2 and 3. And note those fingerings, 2, 1, 2 crosses over, then the thumb has to come under to the A, and then you're home free from there. You're just kind of in this A minor pentascale position. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 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 now we repeat back to measure 5. If that matched what you played, great job. Always pause to fix anything that you need to. Otherwise, let's go on and learn the left-hand part. Again, I'm counting on you to be independent, figure these notes out for yourself, so pause the video and learn the left-hand part from measure 9 through the first ending and then press play, and we'll look at it together. All right, here's the left-hand part starting in measure 9. You're welcome to try playing along with me or just listen. Here's 4 beats to get started. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 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 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and then it repeats back. Now, let's pretend we're going through it the second time and take a look at the second ending. The right-hand part doesn't change much, but the left hand has a special little pattern for the second ending. Let's go back to measure 19 and pretend this is our second time to play it. So we'll have 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3. Note the fingerings. Use the finger 1 on that G, so your finger 5 is ready for that low C. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Now you try. And that's how we play the second ending. And then these are really pickup notes that you see in the right hand going into measure 22. So we'll learn that as part of the B section in our next lesson. Now that you know all the notes for the A section, it's time to do lots of practice. I suggest for a couple of days, focus mostly on hands alone, counting out loud. The counting out loud is so important for this piece. Because of all the syncopations, the rhythms are not going to be correct unless you are counting. You can also use the metronome to help you keep a steady beat. I suggest starting at around 88 beats per minute, and let this be the 8th note, not the quarter note. So this is 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. When you can play that, no missed notes, no pauses, maybe bump it up to 100 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and now the metronome's in the way of my fingers. So you get the idea. Slow and steady wins the race with practice. And then gradually you'll be able to speed it up as you feel confident, as you feel ready. Put it hands together once you feel ready, but make sure you've worked out the fingerings and the details hands alone first, and then put it hands together, slow it way down, and keep repeating until you feel confident. Great job getting started with the A section of The Entertainer by Scott Joplin. In our next lesson, we'll dive into the B section. Thanks for watching and learning with me, and happy practicing. Hey, Chef, what do you get when you cross a sweet potato and a jazz musician?
I don't know. What?
A yam session.
Good one.